Welcome to the Pizza Show, everyone. Today's special guest, Dave Molino, a real Italian on the show. And not only is he a real Italian, he's got some real controversial views on pizza because he's requested for the pineapple and chicken. I'm all right with it, but the pineapple is very contentious, I hear, in the Italian community. What do you think about this, Dave?
Yeah, my mum would not be happy watching this, Riley. She would be, as a matter of fact, she'd be mortified. So in Italy, you know what, it's all about plain pizza, not a lot of topping and things like that. I love my topping, but most of all, I do love my pineapple. And at the end of the day, too, it's just something that, I don't know where I don't even know where it started, right, to be honest. So I can't even help you with that, mate. It's just something that maybe my older brother, but anyway.
It started somewhere, you end up in these sort of addictions. But Dave's a very interesting guest. He's a professional coach. He also does VCPE.
I do.
And he's had a number of ups and downs in his life, a number of setbacks, interesting ththings that have happened. So tell us a bit about yourself quickly, because we haven't got much time here. Short pizza show.
No worries at all, Riley. So basically, for me, I've been very fortunate to work in the tennis field. Worked with some really good players. Sat in that coach's box at Rod Laver a few times, which has been really, really nice. And also, too, look, one thing I will hang my hat on, so I'm very proud of, is the work I have done as a school teacher, and particularly teaching VCEPE, and some great scores I've gotten, which has then given some of the girls that I've taught over the years some really good opportunities in life. So, I mean, it's one of those things that, and you do get some ups and downs in life. I mean, has been some unfortunate things, but one thing I am very fortunate about is my wife gave birth to a little boy earlier this year, little Bodie, and he's 6 months old, and he will be learning about pineapple on pizza, and that it's the bomb.
Well, you're ending an Italian legacy right there, potentially.
Absolutely.
Brody was telling me, you and your girlfriend spent like 10 years through IVF trying to get...
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How crazy? Yeah, that's crazy to really go through. How did you sort of...
It was, guys, yeah. So basically, look, we had a lot of ups and downs and whatnot, and but one thing I will say, and a lot of heartache along the way, but one thing I will say, Riley, is what it has taught us is, never ever give up in life. Always understand that at the end of the day, good things will happen, and if you persist and you persevere, then you know what, that is I think that's just something that we can all take some heart out and take some solace, and I look at Bodie every single day and I say to myself, you know what, he was well worth the wait. So
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I've been doing a recent project on like IVF, and I was curious, were you doing like the PGTA testing and all of those sorts of things, or would they...
Mate, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
That's it. I'm not even sure what that is. So
yeah, all good.
Basically, look, you know what? All we did was I think as far as I know, we did the standard stuff. So yeah. And very fortunate that it works. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. So a lot of work there, a lot of it's crazy. Brody was also telling me you were in your youth, as a younger boy, younger man, you were an aspiring AFL star, and that didn't go through.
Yeah, it didn't work out, unfortunately. So, look, I think I peaked as a 15-year-old, and I kicked 21 goals in a local footy game, and unfortunately after that, the problem was I essentially thought that I'd already made it. And I was one of those cocky kids walking around signing autographs for my mates, saying that's going to be worth money one day. And little did I realise that you actually had to do some pretty hard work and do some pretty hard training to make it as a professional athlete. And so having gone into coaching and having gone into working with tennis players, I guess my errors of my ways, you know what, I'm very proud that I can say that the way I was as a kid, that doesn't work, and where it comes down to is his hard work.
So how do you sort of make that transition going from, wanting to be AFL and it's like going into coaching like that? And I'll get started on the pizza while I leave you with answering that question.
Yeah, no worries, Riley. So I think what happens is you look at what works, and you basically see, okay, if something that you've done hasn't actually worked, then you then kind of think, well, you clearly have to do it differently. So I guess in a sense, my biggest gift is for, for kids to understand that if you're going to make it in life, and it doesn't matter what it is that you do, well, if you're willing to put the hours in and work hard and embrace, and be resilient, but also embrace hard work, well, you can essentially make anything in your life. So walking around and thinking, oh yeah, I'm just going to cheat my way through life, that doesn't work, mate. And that is 100%, I must say, and that's what I tried to do. I tried to cheat my way through it, and as a result of that, I realised that that's not where it gets you, Riley. So that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if the microphone could pick up, so I'm yelling a bit.
I can say, you can ask me the question, and I can say it in the microphone.
So going off from that, Brody was also saying, so you've taught a number of good tennis players, right?
Yeah.
You've taught I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Mark Coleman.
Yeah.
Right? And also the Australian runner-up Brody right there.
Yeah. Absolutely, I do. Yeah. So no, I have worked with some really good players over the years. Yep.
What would you say? I'm curious, really, because tennis is it's a sport. It's very one-on-one.
Yeah.
And it's very I don't know. I feel like how you would coach tennis compared to how you coach footy or something.
Yeah.
A different sort of game. How much is the mental sort of aspect? How much does that sort of contribute to?
Oh, it's that, and Riley, just if that hasn't been picked up on the microphones, is how the mental aspect of working with athletes, what that's about. Well, the mental aspect is absolutely everything, and the reason why I say the mental aspect is everything is because essentially, if you're not somebody who is going to be resilient, if you don't understand that you need to have a growth mindset as an athlete, well, you're not going to make it. Let's really be honest. And if you can't accept that every now and then that you are going to lose and you are going to fail time and time again, and if you don't understand that those failures are what make you win in the long run, well, then you're not going to make it. And I always say this as well, is one day you're going to say that those tough moments, those difficulties, and what's great about working with, I guess in a sense, young tennis players is tennis for me is a metaphor for life and the mental resilience that you need in life, because you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to, you're going to stuff things up. You're going to make mistakes and things like that. And basically, you're going to really just thank, I guess, those failings down the track. So, and I say to these players all the time, guys, is that you will, you won't succeed and you won't win every single match that you play. But if you're willing to, learn, and if you're willing to, I guess in a sense, like a David Goggins would say, right? Who I think is fantastic, right? David Goggins will say, embrace the suck. And you know what? Pick up the shovel and don't go the 4-lane highway, right? Because the 4-lane highway, that's what 99% of people do. And if you say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to embrace hard work and I'm going to just essentially drive myself until there's nothing left, then it doesn't matter what you do in life, you'll find a way that you'll be successful. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's, hopefully the microphone can pick up a little bit, but what would you say some the struggles, average players, and just people in general sort of overcome? What are the points of, I guess breaking points, or the breakthrough points, I guess, where you sort of really hit something and realize, there's a difference you can make. So I feel like a lot of people sort of get to a certain level where they're comfortable, oh, I know this. Yeah. And then they're why aren't I improving? And then something happens and they realize a real...
Great question. Really, really good question. Look, a lot of athletes have defining moments. And I guess what my job is, and I think what a good trainer or a good coach does, is a good coach will say, and they will empower an athlete to basically understand that they've got a ceiling, okay? So they've got a ceiling, they've got a point where they are as an athlete. Well, what my job is to teach them to understand that their potential and that ceiling is actually more than what they actually think it is. So I'll always say this, with these guys, you got to push them to a point sometimes where they've got nothing left. Absolutely nothing left. And then what it is, and you see, when they're training, is they're gasping for air, things are hard, all that kind of thing. But the moment that you can hold space for them, keep them trusting the process, and then say to them, right, you know what? You've got a little bit left. And all you've got to do now is you've got to break through that comfort zone, and you've got to push through, and you've got to embrace the fact that you're going to be uncomfortable right now. The moment you do that, what happens is then you get to see the best out of these athletes, and then you actually see you essentially see the person come up as well, right? And that's where you can start to really make a difference, Riley. So yeah, and it is, and that's a pleasure to basically be involved in that process. That for me that's a real gift for me to be able to be a part of that. And it's awesome to be a part of. Geez, that pizza looks good.
That's good
Far
too.
out.
Yeah, it's gonna. Oh, I almost forgot. I can put the barbecue sauce on after, but
That's cool, man. That's cool.
I was gonna say, so I'm just gonna ask Dave quickly. So why do you think it is that there's sort of these moments where it's like, why is it always sort of when it's hardest? It's like that's where like the real treasure lies, or that's like the real benefit, I suppose, of like where it's difficult is like where you often sort of reach a transformation or something.
The big thing for me is I've got no doubt the transformation comes because as human beings, we just want to look at, you know what? Let's take the path of less resistance. Let's do what is easy. And essentially, well, if you take the path of least resistance and if you are just going to do what is easy, well, you know what? Life is then going to be pretty easy. Life is going to be pretty comfortable, right? But we think it's easy. But what's going to then happen is do we really want the things, or are we getting the things in life that we really want? Probably not, because we've got to be worth and we've got to be willing to put in what 1% of people don't want to do. And that is embracing being uncomfortable. So, and that's what it comes down to, working with these tennis players and working with these athletes. The best athletes I've seen are the ones who are embracing, essentially, they're the ones that are willing to do what the other 99% of people aren't wanting to do. And that is get out of that comfort zone, push themselves and drive themselves to that limit. That's it. Yeah.
All right.
Man.
It's got a hole in it. I'm sorry.
Don't stress, man. Don't stress at all. You know what? It's looking magical, though. Absolutely magical, my man. Yeah. Put a bit of that on there, man. Look at that. Now that is gold.
Could you get the pizza cutter out, Brody?
That is absolute gold. Wow.
So
this is special.
I don't have to make myself a pizza.
That's cool, man. That is cool, man. That's
he's
brilliant.
a real
We can
Italian.
share
He's
it,
breaking
man.
up. Oh, true.
We can share it, man.
I don't want you to go hungry though. But
don't worry about me, mate.
But yeah, so
do not worry about me at all.
Brody was saying recently that like you left.
Take that half, man.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
You left your feel free to cut it up however you want.
That's all right.
All right. I'll do the. Usually I would cook it a little bit more, but I was
that
like,
looks good for me, man. That looks really good to me.
oh, thank you.
That's it.
Smells good.
Smells real good, eh?
But
Smells
yeah,
real good.
so Brady said you left your previous job sort of
Yeah.
to feel free to take that plate because
I will,
probably
mate. I
shouldn't spill
will.
all over the table.
Beautiful.
You left your previous job, and he said to me that like you found that as being like you sort of didn't realize you were very comfortable in that environment.
Yeah, I was.
And you stayed, and you weren't really. I guess you didn't recognize it was like a good idea to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was very, very comfortable, and things were pretty simple. I'd kind of walk into work most days, I'd be on autopilot and things like that.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you put yourself in a new environment, and then all of a sudden you kind of say to yourself, you know what? Hey, this is actually really refreshing. This is different. This is, you know what? I'm learning some new things from some new people, right? And then all of a sudden, what you then kind of think is, well, if I want to embrace change down the track, well, embracing change will now be much easier. It will be a lot easier. So, and I just always say this, is that, you know what, if you're too comfortable in life, well, you're not really living,
Yeah.
All you're doing is you're basically just, well, you're existing. You're not thriving. And what do we want to do as people? We want to thrive, you know, and we want to keep getting better. And I guess for me, you know, the next 10 years, you know, that's pivotal for me. And I want to be a great role model for my son.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
I want to be someone who, and basically, dare I say, if Bodhi wasn't born, I don't think I would have really embraced that change, Riley.
Really,
So,
yeah. I thought it'd be
absolutely.
the opposite. A lot of people, they have kids and they would settle sort of into what they're comfortable with.
That's right.
But I guess wrapping up, I guess we don't have too much time left.
Cool, man.
Feel free to take the pizza or what have you. But
No drama.
if you like it, that is.
Mate, good amazing.
Glad to hear. But since I've met you, you know, I've always had this one question. You know,
Yep.
where does all your energy come from? And have you always been like this, or is this something you've sort of fallen into?
Always, man. Like, the biggest thing for me is, you know what? You can choose to be unhappy, or you can choose to be happy.
Yeah.
Right? And basically, I remember someone said to me once, they said, you know what, Dave? If I were to drop you in the middle of Siberia, you know what? You can choose to go, poor me, there's nothing out here, or you could make the best of that situation. And I'll always say to this, and whilst my wife and I were trying to fall pregnant, and you know, whilst we're trying to have kids and things like that, I guess the big one for me, Riley, was I was kind of thinking, well, what can you do? Do you choose to just walk around and say what I don't have? Or can you walk around and say, you know what? I am so blessed because I have your brother, for example, that's been like a son to me. You know what I mean? And he filled that void for me, right? As did a lot of the kids that I've also taught, or the kids that I've trained, and things like that. So what you can do is you can look at, okay, what is it that I don't have, or you can look at what do I have and what I'm actually grateful for. And every single day, Riley, I wake up and say to myself, I'm a young man who has a job, who lives in Blackrock, and you know what? I've got great people, friends and family around me. You know what? That's a pretty good start to the day. And that's how I start my day every single day, and that excites me, and that's what gets me out of bed. So
Yeah, that's really good. I'll let you keep eating that for a second, but just one more question. So, like, in response to that, I guess the thought I always have when you hear sort of things like, you know, it's very wise. It's like I agree with it wholeheartedly, but it's like when is it right to feel angry, to like be upset, to like. Because I think it is important to experience that, and you know, to make judgments where it's time to
no
be
doubt.
like that. So when would you say is sort of the
times, yeah, absolutely. So I guess the big thing for me, the times when I would have I debrief with my wife at the end of a tough day and things like that. But what the biggest thing for me is, and anger is absolutely a normal emotion, and one that I experience, you know, and frustration quite a bit. And then I walk away, and then I say to myself, you know what? Maybe I need to exercise some empathy. Maybe this is how I process it. Maybe I need to look at what maybe that person is going through in their life and why that's upsetting them. And then maybe that's why hurt people up, you know, they go and then try and hurt other people or something along those lines. And then I kind of walk away from that and I process that and I go, yeah, you know what? That person upset me. That really annoyed me. But you know what? I'm human. There's not much I can do about that now. What can I do? I've got a choice to make. Well, I'll try and be happy, you know. So that's it. But to say, do I get angry? Absolutely, I do. And again, and that's a good thing. That's a normal thing.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I think that sort of wraps us up, this very short episode. Thank you so much for Dave for coming on. Is there anything you want me to plug? Any like social media or anything?
Oh, mate.
Anything
you know
want?
What, man? The only thing I want you to plug is, okay. You know what? Just be good people, guys. Be good to each other.
Be good people, everyone. The message for today.
Absolutely. See you guys.
Oh, good. Yeah, that was